Thank you for making us your first stop on a lovely CES journey, and I hope you have a great week. A funny thing about the introduction actually was made by AI, and it's given my last name. It did a very good and accurate job, I would say. Just a little introduction from me before we get going. At DEPT, we believe in the future of creating digital futures for our clients and blending technology and marketing for the betterment of our clients and growth. We've got about 4,000 digital experts around the world, and all we focus on is building these digital connected experiences for our clients, and that involves AI. So we service clients like Google, Meta, Netflix, and eBay, just to name a few. We've got quite a good panel today lined up. We've got 3 sessions. The first one that we're here with is on AI and transformation. And the next one will be around AI and transforming creativity. And then how AI, in the last one, is transforming the world of media. And first up here, we have actually tackling the speed of AI. I mean, the reality is, if we don't actually act fast with AI, AI will disrupt our business as it's known today. So, we like to say you can forget the long, drawn-out digital transformation roadmaps. Actually, it's a point in time. AI is already transforming businesses on the go and on the fly. And so the reality is that AI doesn't wait for anyone, and businesses are already being transformed, whether we like it or not. So you either have to be disrupted or get ongoing and disrupt yourself. So here we have a little video that I just want to introduce, and it's really about setting the stage for what you're going to see today.
At DEPT, we believe the future belongs to the impatient. In today's world, speed and innovation aren't optional. They're everything. AI isn't just shaking things up. It's flipping the table. It's changing how companies think, act, and grow, driving long-term value and unlocking new opportunities. We are DEPT. We create pioneering work that unlocks tomorrow's possibilities for today's most ambitious companies. We deliver technology and marketing services to clients across the globe. AI is our enabler. It forces clients to move faster and think bigger. Let's explore how AI is rewriting the rules for retail, e-commerce, and beyond.
And now to introduce our panel of experts, our CEO of the Americas, Carryn Quibell.
Thank you, Andrew. I have to admit, it's been a minute since I've done one of these panels. So over the weekend, I Googled tips and tricks for moderating a panel, and I found a Harvard Business Review article that informed me that the panel discussion was invented by someone who likes to sit 3 feet above their audience, talk with 5 of his closest friends for an hour, and barely acknowledge that there is 100 people sitting in the audience in uncomfortable chairs. So I hope that is not your experience today. We will make this interactive and fun. And so let's get started. So I'm Carryn. I'm the CEO of DEPT Americas, and I am very fortunate to be up here today with 3 amazing panelists. The first is Anushka Salinas. Anushka is the CEO of Nanit. Nanit is a high-growth tech company empowering parents with the world's most advanced baby monitor and parenting products. Jinal Shah is the general manager and chief marketing officer of Zipco. Zipco is a financial services company providing fair and seamless solutions that simplify how people pay. And last but certainly not least is Milo Speranzo, who is the chief marketing officer of Lenovo North America. where he is driving regional marketing and communications for the leading technology brand. So Andrew set things up nicely with that video. AI is rapidly innovating and disrupting existing markets, forcing adaptation or rendering obsolescence. Unlike the lengthy digital transformations of the past, AI is an accelerated form of creative destruction. So think automobile, think internet, but on steroids. So in the next hour, we're going to discuss how companies can stay ahead through innovation, experimentation, and moving fast. We gave our panelists one rule of engagement here, which is no talk of cost-cutting inefficiencies. We want to talk about big, meaty changes and growth with AI. So, Milo, I was going to start with you. Lenovo,
I don't remember that rule, by the way, but it's fine.
Lenovo talks about intelligent transformation. How do you balance the need for speed in AI adoption with the potential risks for rapid implementation?
That's a great question. So realistically, at a company the size of Lenovo, there's a lot of, let's call it shadow IT, shadow AI that's out there. So the risk is a real thing for us. So developing an AI council, putting a framework around the development, and then also recognizing that traditional IT curve of innovation where an AI chatbot comes in, and we talked about this earlier, and you have time to absorb it, then agents, you understand that and learn how to implement, and then physical, like Jensen talked about yesterday, and you implement that. That curve seems to all be smashed together. There is everybody wants to do everything right now. So forming an AI council, having one or two folks in your organization that are most knowledgeable and passionate, that set transparency standards, openness and communication standards, and then work with all of the, I guess, let's call it workload stakeholders through the process, has really been a focus for us to help mitigate some risk. So, councils, which we all probably have too many of those. But
councils. Jinal, any thoughts on that from the financial perspective?
Yeah, for context, I'll start just by, I'll take a minute just to explain what Zip is, for those who don't know. We're publicly listed in the Australian market on the ASX, and we're a digital financial services company. In the US, we are known for helping customers with cash flow management via installment payment services that we offer. There's no question that AI, and specifically generative AI, is going to be transformational for our business. But our stance here is, without governance of AI systems and appropriate implementation, it can actually create significant risk to our customers. Specifically, there could be regulatory breaches and then also reputational impact. We deal with very sensitive customer information. And for us, our stance here absolutely was very much, you will relate, I think it's from the Army or the Navy, the smooth is slow, right? So go slow to then go fast. So we actually took all of last year to establish our governance model, to establish our risk criteria, what is our risk appetite. And we were in rooms with OpenAI, basically all the key providers, to determine which one of them is the most appropriate for us. We're now at a point where we are close to rolling out access to ChatGPT for the entire organization. And then we've also spent significant time building AI literacy amongst all our employees. And what I mean by AI literacy is, how you actually navigate and use, whether it's ChatGPT or any of these GPTs, how do you ensure that you're doing it in an ethical, non-discriminatory way, especially as we operate in financial services. So I think that for us, the time, don't get me wrong, we had a lot of pilots and experiments going on also at the same time. But the time we took to build the foundation was critical so that this year we can actually move really fast.
That's great. And then I think, Milo, you mentioned that these timelines are getting shorter and everything needs to happen all at once. I feel like when these massive transformation events are happening, there's always this tension point between how do you successfully run the business and what you need to do day in and day out while you also transform and reimagine your business. Maybe you can talk a little bit about that, and then Anushka would love to hear your thoughts on it as well.
Yeah, so I would say from I guess from a historical perspective, the tension points that we see now are almost infinite, because every workload owner of our business, the HR team, the legal team, the finance team, they all know something about AI, and that's not always the case with tech. So if you're doing a data center upgrade, it's or what would you call it? A little bit more cordoned off. So the decision making is cordoned off. Where now we have stakeholders that are really pushing the envelope. So I would say that balancing that need for speed, but also managing the FOMO that's out there is really, really important for us, because that's what's driving. If you don't do it, your competitors are going to do it. And you hear any podcast you listen to, you're not going to lose your job to AI, but the person who knows AI is going to take your job. So there's all this FOMO being created in the marketplace, and then revenue and stock and everything else. Managing that is really an art form that we're having to learn on the fly, unfortunately. But we're doing a good job, at least from us. Upskilling is a big piece of it. So we have everything rhymes at Lenovo, by the way. So we have like Lenovo Listens, that's our annual thing. We have Grow at Lenovo, that's our upskilling platform. But we've doubled down on making sure that our teams have the access to get upskilled and learn what the art of the possible is right now. And then also what's kind of, I don't want to say fluff, but what's maybe in the future a little bit.
Anushka, do you want to talk a little bit about that balance on your side as well?
Yeah, so just quick background on Nanit. If folks in the room are not familiar, we're a parenting platform powered by a suite of smart monitors. And the company was founded about 10 years ago, really with actually AI at the core. The mission at the time was to help parents and babies sleep better. And the company was sort of built with a foundation of computer vision to provide insights to parents around how they can sort of help their children get to sleep so that they could get to sleep. So the core of the business over the last several years really has actually been algorithms and AI. And so a little bit different than us trying to sort of integrate AI into the company now, it's actually sort of foundational, and we set up the frameworks for data collection and algorithm building from the very beginning of the business. And so we really think about sort of crawl, walk, run as we build net new products into our ecosystem. And it really depends on what we're building, right? So if we're doing something, what I would say more vanilla, like a customer service chatbot on our website to help either users troubleshoot or potential new customers think about the value of our product, we move really fast there, right? But if we're thinking about building a new algorithm to help parents understand how their children are tracking against developmental milestones, we are measuring 3 times and cutting once, right? So we have a strategy of building a proof of concept in-house, making sure we validate that, then releasing it to a set of beta users that are sort of a scaled version of our sort of super users that then help vet the product. And once it's past those 2 gates and we really feel strong that the algorithm is really correct and providing the right insights, then we'll start to slowly roll it out to our users. So I'd say it really depends on what it is that, what the level of importance is of the tools that we're building. And we take that sort of brand trust really seriously, given we have eyes and ears on a child 24 hours a day and inside the family home with this audiovisual data. And so we take it really seriously that sort of accuracy needs to be very high, that security needs to be really high. So I'd say we move fast on some things and slow on others.
Yeah, that's great. It's definitely not one size fits all at the end of the day. Jinal, we're talking about different successes here. Could you share an example where acting quickly with AI led to a competitive advantage for you and the team?
I'll share two, actually. One where it didn't work, and one where it actually did. So on the marketing side, last year we piloted a digital twin technology. So we created digital twins of our customers with the intention of being able to do very quick user testing, quick customer insights at scale. But because it was a pilot, we also were comparing that to an actual group of customers and what the accuracy rates were going to be. And in both the instances I'm about to share, we worked with third-party providers. It wasn't something we created directly in-house. And in this instance, the delta between the accuracy rates that the company had shared with us and what we actually saw was just, let's just say, nowhere close. So we chalked that up to, all right, like we're going to have to spend and kiss a lot of frogs until we find what works for us. In the other end, with another provider, and this is, agree, it's vanilla, but for us, customer experience, we deal with people's money. So, and that's a very sensitive topic, right? Where's my refund? I can't access my account. Like, why can't I use my spending power? So for us, and in a regulated environment, the way we respond to customer queries is also very, there is a certain sort of governance approach to that. So we piloted another tool here to actually just drive more human centricity in there. And then also, how do you take all these help center, content we have, and humanize that? We actually saw the customer satisfaction rates by deploying this were up significantly with this tool. And then we also saw that the quality of the agent conversations was unbelievably far more superior than it had been in the past. So I think for us, last year was all about conducting multiple experiments to determine where it is actually we need to be putting our resources, energy, and frankly also developing our internal posture on. I speak for hopefully all of us here where I think something as executives we've been navigating is overnight. Everybody has become an AI expert. And every single company is pitching you AI, and it is a challenging environment to navigate. So I think for us last year in working with external providers, while we built our internal domain knowledge, AI literacy, figured out with OpenAI how we'll drive the right access for all employees, I think we've come to the conclusion around certain problems that we are going to solve on our own internally, and certain problems or opportunities that we'll work with providers on. So that's also been a huge part of our learning curve.
Thank you. That's awesome. And you stole my question, because my next question was going to be about learning from failure as well as learning from success. But before we do that, Anushka, would you like to share a success from acting fast with AI that you guys have seen at Nanit?
Yeah, for sure. So I had mentioned that sort of a core pillar of the product at its founding was around sleep, which was really ahead of its time if you think about it 10 years ago, because now everyone cares about sleep. 10 years ago, it was like a bit newer age at the time, right? And so we saw a few years ago that there was this need on the market to provide breathing monitoring for very young children, so let's say ages 0 to maybe 6 months, and to do that in a way that doesn't have sort of an electronic wearable on the child. And again, the company founded with sort of AI at the core and computer vision capabilities and that framework that had already existed within the company, we saw an opportunity to be able to do breathing monitoring without any of those electronic sensors, leveraging the capabilities and the foundation that we had already built. So we brought sort of a first-to-market product, which is a fabric band that gets placed around the baby's torso that has this unique pattern, and we're able to use computer vision to sense the movement of the child underneath the camera. So it's very low effort for the parent, no charging, very high safety for the child, and super high accuracy. And we were able to move pretty quickly, I think also by nature of the fact that we were already collecting the majority of the data. We already had the framework in place. We had the team that knew how to build computer vision algorithms, and then the mandate came from the market that there was real consumer demand for this product, and we were able to move super fast. So I think having that sort of foundation and the data flowing through obviously was a huge piece of our ability to move quickly. If we hadn't had that, it would have taken us much longer to come to market.
Yeah, data readiness is something we talk to our clients about each and every time. for sure. Milo, do you want to maybe talk about a failure?
Oh, absolutely. I don't. Ooh, I thought I was going to go the opposite way on this one. No. So I think that one, and I know we're going to talk failure, I think, again after this, but in an environment like we're in right now, if you're not failing, then you're just not taking any risks. Failing fast, obviously, is the idea, and also failing without, in the non-compliant or being compliant from an AI engagement perspective is important as well. We have so many successes that I think the failures all root from one thing, and I think Anushka mentioned this earlier. We want people to crawl, walk, run, and some of the folks in the audience might have this same issue. We have people just running. It's like, nope, crawl, fall down, just start walk. Walk first, crawl. It's like gating them. So let's call it the short term that we've managed through the AI Council and the transparency and the openness and all the controls we put in place. We managed to catch them quickly, but the failures have been through the use of tools that aren't necessarily ready, like a lot that are out there. So it's been more in the marketing, advertising side. We'll see, a logo that's misplaced, the brand isn't represented appropriately, or it's represented in a place that is not authorized. So we've caught them all quick, but it's really because of the excitement around using AI and all of that. A lot of it is, if there's any sales folks in the room, sales-driven mistakes, which...
Can I ask, do you consider that a failure? Because in some ways, I think that's sort of awesome, right? As long as it's low, the repercussions are not huge to customers or anything like that.
No, you're right. Yeah, and my comms team would say it's a failure but in real life, it's catching it so quick and actually vetting the process. And I know we talk a little bit about what's good look like and how do you measure success through the adoption of AI. Catching the failures, to your point, is really important. Or catching, maybe not even the failures, just the missteps, or engaging to the point where everybody recognizes this is the tool we should use, or bring in a subject matter expert. Also, I think we talked about this earlier, everybody is an AI expert overnight. I think it's like the Holiday Inn Express thing. Like, how do you know how to code that? I heard it on ChatGPT. I talked to the robot and it told me. So making sure, everything we talked about, the upskilling, the engagement, the transparency, but then also catching those missteps quickly is really important, and then learning from them, of course, too. That feedback loop, making sure a feedback loop is in there and you benchmark it is important. So we've had no significant failures yet, I am glad to say. We've had some slight missteps.
We need some wood somewhere, yeah. You alluded to the difficulty in measurement. I think when you start to think about big growth opportunities and true step change, measuring that after the fact is one thing, but in advance of it is a whole nother thing. Jinal, maybe you could talk a little bit about how you guys are thinking about measuring your AI transformation.
Yes, we have the benefit, in financial services, AI in form of ML models have been around for ages. So I think financial services have, as an industry, seen the benefit of AI and ML. You've seen that in terms of value generation for the company. You've seen that in terms of efficiency. You've seen that in terms of insight generation. So, while that is really critical for us with this next phase we are in, which is mostly about generative AI, I won't say that that's something we spend a lot of time worrying about right now. The conditioning is very much that there is financial returns there, that there is significant value generation there. It's about having the learning agenda and the right problems or opportunities identified to figure out how we're going to really go at the problem until we have, until we are sort of satisfied with how we've approached it. So for this phase of our transformation, it's less around measuring the long-term impact. We have high degree of confidence that that is there. I think it's about where, we don't want AI to be, it's like a tool, like a hammer looking for a nail. So it's very much around what are the actual problems. So we are spending, again, like last year, we've spent more time framing the right problems we want to leverage generative AI to solve. And now this year is where we are laser focused, directing them towards that. So, yeah.
No, that's very helpful. Maybe measurement isn't the biggest focus at the moment, which makes sense. We've also talked a lot about the internal dynamics of AI, the cultural impact of AI, the organizational change that's required to achieve the readiness maybe that is there to be able to capitalize on these opportunities as they present themselves. Anushka, maybe you could talk a little bit about the organizational challenges you've faced in aligning your company with AI and especially the rapid pace of AI.
Yeah, it's so interesting to me to hear kind of, Milo, your sort of experience in particular, which is like you're kind of holding back the dogs almost. They're so excited about it. I would say, again, sort of given that AI capabilities have been sort of part of the company from the beginning, a lot of it is around continuing to make sure that the evolving mission of the business is still very connected to leveraging AI to achieve that mission. So again, sort of helping parents and children get better sleep at the beginning, leveraging AI tools to do that. We've sort of evolved that mission to really think about creating a new way to experience parenthood. And the way we do that is, and the way we're thinking about that internally, is guiding the team towards how do we build tools that make parents' lives easier and sort of bring more joy to that experience. And you can think about that as AI-driven sleep training tools, right? There's nothing that improves the parenting experience more than actually having your child at 5 months sleep through the night, and we can help do that. So really making sure that the team understands that our evolving mission is very much connected to leveraging these AI tools and foundation to solve those problems and create delightful experiences for parents. So I think it's very much about making sure the mission is inclusive of and that it's clear to the team that that's what we're looking for. And then it's easier to communicate as well as you bring new people into the business. You're hiring someone on the marketing team that maybe doesn't necessarily understand AI as well, and the ways that we use sort of AI in our stack, making sure they understand how the mission that they're going after is actually rooted in AI.
Yeah, and not a question for anybody, but are you guys also tackling maybe the internal fear around what it might mean for your staff and your employees?
Yeah. No, I mean, I think this is a commonality across industries. In some industries, or in some fields, marketing, for one, there's a lot of trepidation around what AI is going to mean to me, to my future job prospects. What will AI take over? We don't look at it that way. We don't think it's definitely not mature enough to take jobs. It's just a fact. But I don't think it's ever going to really get there. I think it's going to be an enablement tool where, from a marketing perspective, it's going to enable you to focus on the creative side more. It's going to take some of that administrative burden away. And that's our number one, we have a Lenovo Listens. One of our big pieces of feedback is tools, engagements, internal conversations, communication, excess communication. And I think it's going to make a big impact in helping in those areas to free up the actual subject matter experts to do what they're best at. And then as we get into agents, and then I think Jensen mentioned yesterday physical AI and robotics and all this other stuff. I feel that's going to be the platform as we go forward. I think it's going to help as we go, help free up time.
Yeah, the high value, low frequency tasks versus the low value, high frequency tasks at the end of the day. We were talking about a minute ago, Milo, you mentioned enhancing marketing strategies and customer insights. Jinal, a CMO, maybe you could talk a little bit about how you guys are leveraging AI beyond maybe the example that you gave earlier where it didn't work so great.
Yeah, and the one area that we've been having a lot of success is one of my marketing teams. This one specifically is a new discipline. It's a fairly lean team. And they've decided that AI is their teammate, ChatGPT, and they've created an Effie award-winning creative director who, through ChatGPT, who's been helping them, and might I add, beautifully with creating actually very creative, value generative campaigns and demand gen ideas, and taking it quite far towards the execution, which is when then our internal creative director and creative team comes in and takes it to the finish line. So they have an internal name for their team member as well, and now they're creating additional agents. Their goal is to try to get all of them working together to create their own little agency. Ultimately, what they want to do, rightfully so, is prove success so we can unlock additional resources for them, right? And I think to me, what has been incredible to experience through this is the power of generative AI to actually get quite close to the kind of work human beings can do. So it's not just about low value, high frequency work. You know, we are seeing with this experiment that my team is doing that you put in enough time, and it is a lot of time. It's like training a new employee. You do that with enough starts and stops, and the outcome can be quite impressive. In fact, we are going to be launching our AI generative, ChatGPT generated campaign in the next 2 months at, one of our big, we're going to be at Shop Talks, so we're going to be launching it there. So I don't know right now if AI is going to ever take jobs. Like, I feel like the more I know, the less I know. So no comments on that. But I will say that at least for the marketing teams or CX teams, the part that is creating a lot of distraction and noise is what you read out in the news. Like in our industry, like the competition is talking a lot about like AI has eliminated X many jobs, and we have had X million dollars in savings. That can create fear, and I think that can also be an impediment towards them truly pushing what AI can actually do for us. So we are navigating that. Scaling humans ultimately is the hardest job inside an organization, and we are focused on that.
Yeah, I think internally as well, highlighting examples of, this is really the way that we've seen to limit the fear. A quick example, not a failure, which I didn't know if I had to do another one of those.
That's okay.
Oh, good, thank you. So we, there were some, I guess, mundane daily tasks that we used AI to help alleviate for the marketing team. We gave them more, freed up some of their time. We have an AI council and a committee. We looked at programs that we already have. We have a great program called Small Business Evolve. And in that Evolve program, there was an opportunity. What we do is we enable small businesses and ones that don't have the marketing acumen or capacity to go out there and engage their customers. And the time that we freed up, we had a couple marketers sit down, look at the program that was already developed, and how can we overlay AI into this? And they had the idea to pull in Queen Latifah, which is what you always do, I think. It's, yeah, the answer is always Queen Latifah, if I'm not mistaken. So they pulled in... Or Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart, either one, yeah. They worked with Queen Latifah and her team and licensed her likeness to do some AI to where all of these small businesses, I don't know how many it was, a couple thousand in the program, were able to leverage, Jim's IT services. Queen Latifah would say that via AI. Hey, come see Jim's IT services here in Washkosh and wherever. Yeah, and there was some real value, and the small businesses were very obviously appreciative. But realistically, what that did was it took the internal marketing team and their excitement. They saw it from, they saw the cycle. They saw the evolution of, we freed up some time. You looked at a current program we already had that was created very manually. We overlaid AI into it. We created success. We created great mind share and connectivity. And the fear dissipated very, very quickly. So, some of those short-term successes, celebrate them as you have them.
Yeah, I think that's great. It's probably a good time to see if we have any questions from the audience. I have a couple people with microphones, I believe. Do you need mine? Oh. Any questions? I've been known to call on people in meetings, so I can keep asking if there are no questions. Yeah, there in the middle. Kristen will come with the microphone.
I don't know how you even saw that. These are bright.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
So the necessity for the protocols to mitigate liabilities at the corporate level, do you feel that that's slowing things down, that AI technology will surpass before you can take full advantage of it and keep up? I'm not sure if I'm phrasing that right, but if that makes sense.
Yeah. Do you want to take
You know,
a round?
so if you're a smaller operation, will you be able to, keep up faster versus a larger corporation?
Yeah, it's certainly opening the doors. It's an opportunity for smaller organizations. There's, like I said, the capability there right now, it's not there, in our opinion. We've seen a lot of missteps by smaller organizations that attempted to leverage AI fully from a legal and a compliance standpoint, where they've had to really pull back mid-size companies as well. So I would say that in time, I think we'll get there. I don't think we're there yet. I think this is probably, I don't know, if I had to guess. Actually, I don't know why I would guess. Everything has been, the physical AI piece I thought would be a year from now, and that we talked about it yesterday, or Jensen talked about it yesterday at length. So the timelines are consolidating, but I think we're 18 months away or so from that being a reality, in my opinion.
I think in my experience, the perception is that we're moving slower than we actually are. In my experience, I just look at my own sort of team and internally, like our organization's AI literacy, and where we are today versus where we were this time last year. I don't know how we would have gotten here had we actually not done what we had to do, right? From like going really deep with spending time with OpenAI and understanding the data implications, understanding the hallucination, like literally everything that could impact us positively or negatively, and building that knowledge base, building that literacy, and then actually distributing that literacy across the org, across key stakeholders. It may seem, it took us a year, but I was like, wow, it only took us a year, because I still feel we've just scratched the surface. But our risk appetite and our confidence level at a point where, you know what, no, we're going to actually give every single employee the ChatGPT as a tool, because we've done our due diligence on that. So I think that I liken this to what we experienced during COVID. I know that during COVID, innovation spurred up super fast, right? In those few months, like companies were doing, companies that didn't have like superior e-commerce capability found a way to do that. Like you prioritized it and then you made it happen. And in my experience, I think that's what's happening inside organizations too. To your point, smaller companies are definitely able to move faster, but your risk appetite determines how fast you're able to move. I think for public organizations, for organizations where we deal with customer data, like the stakes are too high for us to not get this right. Like the appetite for the kind of failures is very well defined, so that is necessary within how we're operating.
So I actually think we're in our final minute here. I can't actually see the clock at the end of the stage. This has been incredibly informative. I think one of my biggest takeaways is the move slow in order to move fast, and the readiness to take advantage of the opportunities that are put in front of you. It takes work to be prepared for almost what you don't know is coming next around the corner. So I want to say thank you so much to each of these panelists. If we could give them a round of applause, I would appreciate that. We have a 20-minute break, and then we will be back, I believe, to talk about creativity. So thank you guys for joining us.